Welcome to Content with Character, the weekly podcast that'll give you the momentum you need to create content with more ease, clarity, and laughter. I'm your host, content copywriter Emily Aborn, and I'm all about unconventional marketing approaches. I believe in your big ideas, and I'm excited to help you share them in a way that's distinctly you. Raise your hand if you were sick of social media long before yesterday. I assure you that this episode is not going to be bashing on social media. Well, not all of it. I'm actually going to show us some of the value in it and encourage us to keep going, even if at this very moment you feel like it's not working for your business. But in reality, deep down in my soul, I do know that social media is problematic in a lot of ways. To start, it increases anxiety and depression, especially in young people. It disconnects people from real people, reality, each other. It creates FOMO, feelings of missing out. Obviously, those 3 a.m. scrolls can cause you a lot of sleep disturbances. I hope nobody actually still does this, by the way. And if you do, we should talk. It also causes things like low self-esteem, fuels imposter syndrome, a whole lot more. It can create addiction, be a distraction, soak up a lot of your time, never mind spreading false information. The list goes on and on. And in reality, I do not think it has done a lot of good things for our society as a whole. The positives. Let's not forget the positives. I actually just listened to a podcast that had a perspective on all the positives of social media, and I said, you know what? We cannot leave these out. It does keep you informed in many ways, especially with highly relevant news as it's happening. It also, and not just news, but trends in your industry and such. It also does connect you to other people if you use it that way, if you use it as a tool to do so. A lot of my friends have gotten we've gotten closer because of social media. It also can be inspiring, entertaining, educational, that list goes on. As a business owner, of course, it helps more people to see your message and increases your visibility, and also your awareness. It gives you places to share your thoughts, to share your ideas, to express yourself creatively, just pop in with some day-to-day randomness, right? It can keep you up to date with what is happening in other people's worlds that you care about. And let's not forget, it can also remind you of your sister's birthday, which you seem to miss every single year. Unfortunately for my brothers, they don't actually get that advantage because my birthday is not on Facebook. Not that they really are either, but they miss it anyway. So the list goes on. There are advantages and of course disadvantages. And I don't know about you, but for me, it feels like as a business owner, it often feels like it's a bit of a necessary evil. And sometimes I wonder, is it a necessary evil, or is that all just in my head? So social media is not going anywhere soon, at least, but how we engage with it can, and I believe should, evolve as we go. So this episode is going to be like a little bit of a social media burnout buster. We're going to do one part reality check, one part pep talk maybe to help you kind of refresh a little bit. And I want to give you some ideas on rethinking how you're using these social media platforms, where you're focusing your creative energy to achieve maybe the goals that you have for social media in general. In case we have not met, I will take a quick second to introduce myself. I'm Emily Aborn. I'm a small business copywriter and content marketing consultant. This is the third business in total that I've owned. I had one retail, one online membership/events type business, and now I'm just a happy solo little operation over here who gets by with some help from her friends. That to say, I have been doing the entrepreneurial small business thing now for 11 years. But in addition to that, I've also had the opportunity to be a subcontractor for several media marketing agencies. I've helped thousands of people individually and in groups with content marketing. I've written for 115 different industries. Now, the reason I share that information is only to say I've been around the block when it comes to social media and how it can play out for various businesses or not. I am also not a social media expert, nor would I ever claim to be. I actually do not keep up on trends or news or any of that as it relates to social media. I should say I don't not keep up with it. It's just very, very minor. And I have no desire to manage people's social media accounts, though I do help them with the content piece of it. A little bit more on like my personal timeline and experience with social media, because I kind of want to share with you what I've watched unfold over like a very long time. So a little bit more of my personal story with social media. I was an AOL Instant Messenger kid. I was home alone like pretty much all the time. And I was left to my own devices to, after I got my schoolwork done, chat with strangers and like participate in chat forums on AOL Instant Messenger, which in my opinion is the original social media. And I also, fast forwarding a couple years from that, I used like Blogger and MySpace and WordPress and things like that. That was a couple years after the Instant Messenger thing. And then Facebook came out when I was a freshman in college in 2004. So that was when you could only get Facebook if you were a college student. Very handy when you have to stalk people on campus. You know, you just got to do it. It was very handy. And I've also, let's see, what else? I've had Instagram since 2010. I have no idea why I got it in the first place, because if I look back, I didn't have the kind of phone that Instagram works on back then. So like, I don't know what I was doing with Instagram, but I have pictures going back to 2010. I just have literally not the slightest idea of how I would have posted those things. Anyway, I say this to say that I have seen over that period of time, a lot of things come and go, a lot of trends, highlight reels, changes, new platforms, people, all of this come and go. Remember Clubhouse, for example? Like, remember Clubhouse, which I think it's still around and people still like it, but that was one that was like a super hot trend in 2020. And like, I never hear anybody talk about it anymore. But I came up with a list of like actual things I've seen come and go, personally and professionally, that I wanted to share with you, because a lot of it is actually very reassuring. Like, we are kind of in a very small part of the timeline right now, and it can feel all encompassing. So I think this is helpful. So number one, in all of this time, I never really have paid attention to follower count, friends, connections, even engagement, any of that. Like, the numbers were never really something like I said, I'm not a social media expert. And personally for myself, it was just never one of my goals. Like, I didn't want a ton of follower counts. So I don't care about any of that. I don't pay attention to it. I don't even really pay attention to my numbers on this show. I make sure people are getting the episodes, and I'm doing my best over here. My intention is that people will see what they see, and they will find me when they find me. And if we are meant to be, we will be meant to be. So social media, it's also not my only marketing habit. And we're going to get into that a little bit too, but it's a very small piece of my quote unquote marketing pie, as I like to say. And that is part of why I have that philosophy around the actual numbers of it all. Number two, I have watched trends come and go, and I've hopped on the trends and been like, okay, those are not for me. I would say 9 times out of 10, when I decide that I'm going to be an early adopter of something, or even not early adopter, I'm not even that, but like the next one up, I end up leaving the thing. I could use Reels as an example. I could use Clubhouse as an example. I could use Threads as an example. But then there are other trends that stand the test of time for me. Like, for example, on Instagram right now, there is that 10 plus slide carousel option, and I really like it because it's putting the some of the focus back on that long form content on Instagram, and I really, really love it for that. So that is one that I'm like hoping it's not a trend. It's going to stick around for a while, because for me, long form content has been my favorite kind to create. I'm not loving this AI trend right now. I think that is probably not a trend. That is probably with us for a while, but you can really see the dilution of content right now with all of this AI stuff. Like, people do not sound like themselves. They sound like AI, and it's very, very obvious, and it makes me trust very few people. No, I should say it makes me trust less people. It also just encourages us, I think, to be a little bit more creative and be a little bit more ourselves and be a little bit more unreplicatable. But that just simply was not a problem when I started on social media, nor up until now, really. I mean, the past couple of years. Number 3, I've watched people post and brag and sell entire frameworks about their follower counts and their social media success and their secrets to social media success on social media. It's a lot of noise out there, all about making more noise. And that drives me bananas. I went to a conference in San Diego, which was about social media marketing, which actually that was a lot better than I expected. Still very noisy, still very much about like how to be successful on social media. And here's a meta way of talking about it, but it was a lot more connection at that particular event than any of this senseless crap that a lot of people are touting. And again, that did not exist when I kind of started to get my toes into the social media marketing world. Number 4, I've watched people in my life come and go, and sometimes they come and go on social media accounts too, or they stay on your social media accounts and they hate follow you or dislike follow you. Was it something I said? Sometimes yes. And then sometimes I have had to be the one to unfollow other people because I just can't anymore, right? You really see people's true colors on social media if you stick around for a while, and sometimes it's just enough, right? The other thing is like these memories often like to remind you of like who you were in a past life, right? Who you were 10 years ago and what you did on this exact day last summer. And it's not always very reassuring. So I will say that like I have had that experience, and social media can be one of those places that brings up a lot of old stories, let's say, and can be a place where you do need to let some people go. Number 5, I've watched people feel the need to share every last highlight of their lives. If you didn't post that salad, did you even eat it? Look, I've posted a salad too, okay, and dishes I've made, but not every single time. But I've also watched people really enjoy that piece of it. Like sometimes the self-expression is so wonderful and offers areas of our lives that we get to share with other people, and it can be really, really fun to like, look, I'm celebrating this and I want you to celebrate it along with me. I've also watched people like at functions be completely enraptured in capturing the moment for social media so that they can then go ahead and share it. And that can be like a whole other problem in and of itself. So that's something I've watched evolve over this whole kind of timeline here. I've also watched people only share the highlights and never the lowlights. Like what is really going on behind the scenes over there? And it's important to remember that that happens still to this day. That's always been happening. I think honestly, I think it used to happen more so, but still going on. And just remember, social media is not reality. It is a snippet of reality, and it paints the very best picture. It paints whatever picture they want you to see. It doesn't have to be the best, but it paints whatever picture they want you to see, not necessarily the real picture. Okay, number 7, after 6 years, I tell you, this is a long game. I have finally, I'd say like over the past 2, maybe, I started getting real business from social media. I would say I still like haven't found my groove yet. Okay, let me actually just say that's 6 years consistently posting for the business that I have now. Okay, not 6 years, obviously, on social media. I covered that a while in my timeline. But I haven't really found my groove yet with the exact platforms, but I have put in a lot of time. I have been very consistent. I have been evolving as I go, and I'm finally starting to see results from the places that I am focusing on. And I really do think that one of the big benefits as a business owner is that it helps people to know whether or not we are for them or not for them. Like we really get this opportunity to connect personality-wise on these platforms if we choose. And also for me, it's helped me share like what's coming up. Do I have any openings? What's on the table for opportunities? What are the different ways to work with me? New podcast episodes, all of that. So it's really starting to finally be like lock in. And it is, as I said before, just a small sliver of my marketing pie. I will never probably be the person who puts all my weight onto social media. I really value and appreciate it for what it is. It's a free, minus the stealing your soul part, resource that we can share about our business and whatever else you want. But I share that to say it is such a long game sometimes. And sometimes finding what works for you takes a really, really long time. So that's just like kind of a word of encouragement. Number 8, and then I've got one more for you. I've watched Instagram and social media actually do the whole full circle for me. So I've had it be really awful and like draining and icky and just like I hated it, or it annoyed me, or it triggered me or whatever. And then I kind of went full circle, worked a lot on like who I was following, what my goals were with it. And I really loosened up a little bit with it, let my personality out a little bit more. And now I just kind of use it as a giant bounce house. Like I'm like, wherever I want to go, I just explore, connect, laugh, and learn alongside others. And as I'm doing that, I'm watching myself have more fun with it actually. And it's more of a playground. It does not feel like marketing. It feels like a conversation. It feels like sharing things with people that I'm really, really excited to share about. And people I'm excited to share with. So I will say that's kind of like been a big full circle moment. And I've also watched ads pummeling our feeds, things taking over, like Facebook specifically, but every platform that we just could not give two cares about, right? Like you're getting ads, you're getting these groups, you're getting pages that you're not following, and also the audacious things that is happening in our world. Like that's all happening before our very eyes. And that was not always the case on social media. Like I said, it used to just be kind of like, okay, who's cute on campus and how can I sit next to him in humanities class, right? And then most importantly, and lastly, I have watched people go all different ways with social media. I've watched people get clients. I've watched people not get clients. I've watched people get frustrated. I've watched people get burned out. I've watched people lean into it and have a great time. I've watched people wonder what on earth they're doing wrong. I've personally felt, as I shared, like really misunderstood, really frustrated. Why am I not flashy enough, shiny enough? Why am I not enough? So I share all that just to kind of set the stage for you. I absolutely love, my friend Karen Kenny recently said this to me in a direct message actually on Instagram. Human nuances cannot be fully captured by social media carousels. And I think it's really true. And it is such a good reminder that number one, as I said, social media is not reality. And number two, it is not everything that you should be focusing on in your marketing and really in your life. I think that for most of us, it is important to have some sort of online presence. I also think that there's a lot of benefit in using social media as a way to repurpose content so that more people are able to see it, more people are able to access it. You're connecting with potentially new people. And if you're frustrated in that, I would just really encourage you to go back to like, why are you doing this in the first place? And who do you really want to be connecting with? Why is it important for people to hear your message? And start there. If you are frustrated or burned out or annoyed or feeling unseen or unheard, insert adjective of choice here. Hold your phone. Let's not throw it overboard and delete all your accounts yet, but maybe you're going to get rid of some. It is, for me, when we feel this way, a good indication that we need to look closer and possibly recalibrate just a little bit when it comes to our social media, whether it be our habits and the way that we use it, or whether it be the goals we have around it or the strategy that we have. We just have to find how it works best for us and our unique businesses and personality. So here's how you know you need this episode and you need a little giddy up. Maybe you went to go open a social media app this morning to like post something and you're like, oh my God, I'm drained before I even do it. You feel like content creation is a performance. You feel a constant need to keep up with trends or styles or algorithms. You dread engagement instead of enjoying it. Oh my gosh, how many times have you been there? Like you don't even want to comment on people's things or comment back to people. It's just like not fun for you. You've lost the connection to your voice or why you started, and maybe you experience general cynicism or apathy or ennui toward social media in the first place. So that's kind of when you know it might be time to give yourself a little refresh, a platform, strategy, and some ideas that don't suck your soul like this. So We've talked a lot about we've laid a lot of foundation, and let's get into some real clear action steps and things you can look at for yourself. First, I would encourage you to be impeccably honest and get clear on your goals around social media. What do you want from it? And you should probably ask yourself what you want from it right now, because that definitely changes. You might have a few of these. There might be brand visibility and recognition that's high up on your list. I want my brand or my name to be very recognizable and to be very, very well known. I want people to know who I am. So that might be up there. Client leads or inquiries, that means you're actually turning people from social media into paying clients, or they're at least booking discovery calls with you or connect calls, whatever you like to call them. Or you're building referrals from there, right? Number 3 would be do you want email list growth? Is that primary for you? If that's the case, you're going to need to think of some ways to get people onto your email list and think of what platforms people are most likely to hop from the platform to the email list. Do you want more podcast listeners? Do you want more relationship building or referrals like we talked about before? Do you just want a place to learn, laugh, and feel inspired, stay informed, get the news and the trends and the information? Do you want a creative outlet or a place for self-expression? So give yourself a little pontification, and jot down your top 3 on that list. Brand visibility and recognition, client leads or inquiries, email list growth, podcast listeners, relationship building or referrals, a place to learn, laugh, feel inspired, a creative outlet or place for self-expression. I would really limit it to choosing 3. Then consider your people. Who actually are your ideal clients? Who are your ideal collaborators? Who are your dream connections and readers and listeners and subscribers? And this is the part where it's a little bit challenging sometimes. And sometimes you do need help figuring this out. But really asking yourself where those people, you can even ask them, where online do they like to spend their time? Where do they like to hang out? What kind of content do they enjoy consuming? Are they big into video content? Are they big into carousels, audio, written posts, something else, right? Are they searching for what you offer? Or is it something more where they're just kind of stumbling upon it and they're like, wow, I didn't even know I needed this. Thank goodness. So those are some questions to ask you about your actual people. Remember, social media is a two-way street. It is not just you shouting into a void. It is a conversation just like I love to have with you here. I love when you respond to me and you tell me this is what I'm working on or this is what landed for me, and I can speak right back to you about that thing. So it's always a two-way street. I'm always paying attention to what I think, what you would like to consume, what you might be struggling with or trying to overcome, and what you're kind of up to right now in your business. Okay, now, if you are DIYing your marketing and your social media, you're going to want to give yourself some time to also be honest and think about your strengths. So, for example, probably not shockingly, as a copywriter, mine is writing. And it doesn't always translate into short, witty, punchy writing. A lot of times I like legroom, which is why I can get so frustrated on social media. But you can actually think about what your strengths are and then look at, okay, well, actually what places would let me have this and tailor. Then you can also tailor other platforms around your strengths, how you best like to express yourself creatively and what really, really energizes you. I'm so a fan of when we love doing the thing, we're going to do it more consistently and we're going to want to keep these habits up than when we absolutely loathe the way that we're showing up, when we're putting ourselves in a box just because somebody else said we should or because we're copying somebody else or whatever, fill in the blank. I love, for this reason, I love Substack because I really like that I can write a lot. Now, my goal with Substack is simply self-expression and learning. So I go onto Substack only to write for fun, and I also love to learn from other people on there. I also, for the same reason, love podcasting. I like LinkedIn, although I will admit I've been very, very bad at LinkedIn lately. But I'm not a witty, punchy, I can get this into, a couple of characters or less. So I've always not really done very well. Oh, also, I I get misunderstood a lot, and there's like a lot of nuance and things. I'm like, a couple of words doesn't give me enough room for nuance. So Threads and all those like kind of quick in your face, flashy platforms, they tend to be a little bit of a struggle for me. I love, however, as I mentioned, using those carousels and those graphics on Instagram because I can share long form content there and also give some of that short, witty, punchy stuff. But if I want to do that, I tend to use the stories a little bit more. But it really does give me a little bit of a chance to stretch my legs out. So think about your strengths and how you like to create content, like what really makes you feel energized when you're expressing yourself, and consider which platforms make way for that. And if you aren't on those, consider getting on them. And if you're on one that maybe just needs to be tailored a little bit to let you do that, maybe you can tailor. So some questions I thought for you are like, do you like writing micro stories and witty takes? That might be a good spot for you, like Threads or X or Blue Sky. I don't know much about Blue Sky, although I can link an episode for you in the show notes. That I listened to recently about it. It sounds interesting for sure. So if you like that kind of like micro content and witty takes, that might be a good spot for you. If you enjoy visual storytelling or like the voiceover stuff, right? Or using your voice, but you don't have a podcast, Instagram or TikTok or Facebook Reels, that might be really good for you. Or even doing video on LinkedIn or on YouTube. Do you prefer thought leadership and value-driven copy? You might consider doing a blog. A caveat on a blog is that you definitely need to reshare to get people's eyeballs over to it. But LinkedIn also has a good spot for like newsletters and articles, and Substack is great for that kind of thing. And then if you are really just trying to get searched and found and want people to find, like you want to attract new people, sometimes YouTube and Pinterest are the best fit for that. I do not know every in and out of every single platform. What I do know is that a platform feels lighter. It feels more fun when it aligns with your creative joy and your natural voice. And so I think that if one feels just absolutely awful to you, you could potentially consider changing it up, right? And ask myself, what does feel fun to me? What would feel fun instead of this? I recently did this on Instagram, and I had put myself in like a very weird box. I don't even really know why, but I just was like, plunk, here you are, you're in this box. And since I took myself out of that, like I said, it has become far more enjoyable, and I just kind of like shake it up, mix it up, and play to my strengths and what I'm feeling and what lights me up. And it's so much more fun, and I'm able to be so much more consistent with it. Okay, and then next, we definitely want to look at our bandwidth. And you have to, again, be honest with yourself, but maybe this is where you make a list of all the places that you're showing up in your content and marketing. And you're also looking at the frequency, like how often am I committed to doing each one of these? Then ask yourself, okay, what can I realistically do consistently without hating it or resenting it? What platforms can I show up on consistently with the time, the capacity, and the resources that I have right now? Where could you repurpose things? So if you are doing a podcast, or you are writing a newsletter, or you are writing a blog, where could you repurpose that in other places to help yourself ease up a little bit on the energy and the time it's taking you? If I am being totally honest with myself, for me, it's like 2. I can be really, really consistent with 2 social media platforms. So I'm on others, of course, but I just kind of do them when I feel like it, or when I remember, or in some cases I'm terrible and I neglect it altogether. But I realistically, like if I am just straight up honest with myself, I do not have time and attention to be parsing it out here, there, and everywhere and spending all this time on social media. My business may be more successful if I could, but that is just not the reality for me right now. So that's a question for you to consider too. Like realistically, what can I focus on that I have the actual bandwidth and capacity for, and I'm not going to just like burn out, because that is a huge piece of getting so over social media when you're just like in all the places trying to show up in all the ways, and you're like, this is exhausting. It doesn't work. Nobody is listening. I don't even know what I'm doing. And you can't really get good in any one area, right? Because you're just like kind of spread too thin. So on that note, let's say that you have chosen 2 or 3, which I hope you haven't chosen too many more than 3. Give those platforms in your mind or on a piece of paper, give them each a purpose and give them each a designated frequency that you would like to be consistent with. Not every platform serves every goal equally. So, for example, and I do not know all the ins and outs of all these platforms, but for example, Instagram, in my opinion, is really great for visibility. It is really great for sharing products and services. It is really great for getting people excited about said products and services or workshops. It's also good for general engagement and connection and building kind of like a body of work about your brand and your personality and your creative expression. LinkedIn really leans into a lot of that professional credibility. The relationship building on LinkedIn is so huge, and it gives you a really good chance for thought leadership. So if that's a goal of yours, that might be a good platform. Threads or X or Blue Sky, those might be really good for riffing, keeping people up to date quickly with information and news and ideas and quick touch points. Again, I don't really have much of a clue because I'm not on either, or I'm not on any of those platforms anymore. But that's kind of the vibe or the feeling I get. Like I feel like those move really fast. So, and then Reddit is another one we didn't even talk about before, but I really love Reddit actually for groupthink. If I'm like struggling with something in my business or in my industry and I kind of want to keep it anonymous, Reddit's great for that. It's also great for if you choose the right places, marketing to people, or general support, ideation, and also news. So that's another option for you too. But it's a good way to start conversations. Reddit is really, really good for conversations. It doesn't have to be anonymous, but in many cases it is. And then Pinterest or YouTube, those are really going to be great for like visually based brands, people who love video, long-term discovery, evergreen content, podcasters, that kind of thing. And then there are all sorts. Like I'm not going to get into them all, but there's TikTok and Discord and Mighty Networks, and the list goes on and on and on. So you can see how very quickly, if you aren't narrowing down your list, you could be in all the places all the time and be completely and thoroughly exhausted. So I would say, if I could encourage you to do just a couple, if I could encourage you to just pick 2 or 3, I would say you choose one for long form content or like your main, like one is like your main platform, okay, where you share either long form content or your biggest of big ideas. And then one is for like repurposing and staying cohesive with what you're doing on the other, but keep them very, very close in, theme, I would say as well. It makes your job a lot easier, and it also just brings this lovely cohesion, I think, especially when people are following you in multiple places. So maybe you choose one platform for lead generation and you choose one for a little bit more thought leadership. Maybe one is for fun and information and inspiration, and one is for increasing your reach. Maybe one is for connection and engagement, and the other one is actually for selling your products and services. So think about all that. Give each one a primary focus or a goal. Like Instagram is for this for me. And my goal with it is this, and then stick with it, because otherwise I really think that it can get wildly overwhelming. You don't need me to tell you that. And then I always believe, and I say this often, that we do need to commit for a season. In my world, 3 is the magical number for pretty much anything I'm going to try or commit to. In fact, when I was dating, I would give people 3 dates. Like I would decide if they're in or out after 3 dates. I will do the same thing with networking events now. I will try 3 times before I decide if I'm joining the group. I will give something 3 months of time before deciding if I'm going to stick with it. So if you want to, feel free to borrow my rule of 3 and try it for yourself. 90 days, 3 months, however it works for you, where you experiment, you observe, and you see how you feel. And then of course, you can give yourself permission. You can give yourself permission to pivot or plot twist wherever you need. Okay, in closing, I don't want to take any more of your time. I want to remind you that social media all of these platforms, they are one part of a very big, rich, delicious whipped cream covered marketing pie. Maybe it's more like a cake, actually, with tiers and layers. But the point is, it is just one slice. There are also collaborations with like-minded people. There is also connecting via networking and one-to-one conversations. And do you remember face-to-face conversations? Remember those? There's also leaving your house and meeting new faces and putting yourself in the right places at the right times. There are factors on your website you need to consider. Email marketing, podcasting. The list goes on with a variety of other ways to market yourself, both online and off, and not just market, but make relationships. So if social media is really not your thing and it's really just like disgusting you and giving you the ick and you can't un-ick it, I say don't worry, don't despair. I am here to connect with you if you want to brainstorm some alternative forms of marketing. That's like one of the things I love talking to people about is ways to market themselves off of social media. In fact, I am a coach through the Hannah Grimes Center for Entrepreneurship in Keene, and I do offer free 30-minute coaching sessions. So I don't think I've ever done this before, but I'm going to extend them to you. They're perfect for this exact kind of thing. And they're also perfect. We can talk about your social media for sure too. But when I say free, I mean there are no strings attached. I don't sell you anything. I'm not allowed to sell you anything. Hannah Grimes doesn't sell you anything. It is literally just a gift from us to you. The link to those is in the show notes. And I also, if you need something a little bit more in depth and you want like a true plan specific to you, tailored to you, I give a really in-depth 90-minute strategy session with like copious notes specific to your situation. So I'll include that in the show notes as well, just so you can think about and consider your options if you are in a place right now that you really need another set of eyes or hands. To recap our reality check, refresh, pep talk thing, here are the questions I just want to leave you with, okay? What do you want from social media right now? Who are your people and where are they? What do they like to consume? What do they need right now? What are they struggling with? What's hurting them? Now, what are your strengths? What realistically is your bandwidth when it comes to social media? And then I would say you're not going to move ahead in social media by not taking action. So experiment, test, get out there, try some things, and don't be afraid to change your mind. Platforms shift, algorithms change, your goals evolve, you get to also. So that's a wrap for today. I did want to know if this topic is like interesting to you and you want more of this kind of thing. What do you want? Tell me what you want. No, just kidding. That's a lot of pressure. But I do want to hear from you, and I love and value just like every thought, every feedback. If you have things you want me to add to this episode, I'm always happy to do like a part 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. My plan for July is to be determined. As I sit here, this is June 8th when I am recording, but I do assure you that I have some exciting stuff up my sleeve. So I don't know what it is yet, but I will talk to you then. And on that note, have a great week. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Content with Character. If you loved the episode, please make sure to subscribe to the podcast, rate, review, and share it with someone else you know it could help. For more content and visibility tips, visit my blog at emilyaborn.com, and be sure to connect with me on Instagram at emilyaborn. I'd love to hear how this inspired you to take action.